Good afternoon, Fabry healthcare professionals, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Lee, for your kind introduction. My name is Gavin and I live with my beautiful wife Linda, who lives with Fabry. I've been assigned a rather challenging task today to provide you all with an insight into being a carer of someone with Fabry in regional and rural New South Wales, whilst maintaining the standard already set by Monica and Mark. Your experiences are truly remarkable and inspiring. Thank you. Linda and I are based at sunny Walgett, 650 kilometres northwest of Sydney. Sunny being the endearing term that we have applied to our district as it endures a period of significantly decreased rainfall. We operate a dryland farming operation, and when the seasons are favourable, produce bulk quantities of mainly wheat, barley and chickpeas. These crops are grown on a rotational basis with particular attention paid to soil health. Linda and I have been together 21 years and married for 18. From the outset, Linda shared with me her varied and complex health situation. Part of her health concerns was the fact that at the time her father Tony had passed away 1 year prior to us meeting with complications arising from Fabry. Originally, it was considered that Linda was a carrier of the genetic disorder and suffered some of the symptoms, much like her grandmother before her. Linda was aware after a hair follicle and blood test that she carried the Fabry gene from when she was an early teenager. Prior to us meeting, Linda had suffered acute kidney failure as a result of contracting Wagner's granulomatosis in 1993. This condition was managed via medication by Professor Carol Pollock of Royal North Shore Hospital, Sydney. After stabilising with the assistance of medication, Linda would visit Professor Pollock twice a year. However, as her health improved, the frequency of visits extended to one visit every 2 years for a brief period. Our visits to Royal North Shore were usually fairly straightforward, meaning there was only one appointment required, unless a scan or a blood test was needed. We would leave mostly after work on a Thursday afternoon, go all or part of the 8-hour journey to be in time for the appointment on the Friday. Depending on our commitments at home, we could usually spend some time catching up with friends, go for dinner or do some shopping. This was a time before internet shopping, which means we now have the ability to order online what's not available locally. This enabled us to return home on the Sunday in preparation for work on Monday morning. In 2008, after 15 years of maintaining kidney health through medication, Linda required a transplant. Linda was most fortunate to have her kind and caring brother Anthony donate one of his kidneys. The procedure was an incredible success, with Anthony's kidney being a 6 out of 6 match. At the time, Linda and I were running a news agency in our hometown of Walgett. This proved to be an exceptionally challenging time. The commitments of the news agency limited the chance to visit Linda in Sydney to 3 times over a 3-month period, with the third visit being the opportunity to bring Linda home. I can still remember the sense of relief travelling home together. One interesting fact that I wish to share with you all is that Linda is a dream patient. Most healthcare professionals admire her positive attitude despite her exhaustive list of health limitations. Whenever I attend an appointment with Linda or support her through a hospital visit, she always maintains a bright, friendly and optimistic disposition. Linda can return home after an infusion where the medical staff have had real problems getting her cannulated. Upon coming home, Linda will proudly display the 5 unsuccessful puncture marks where they attempted to insert a cannula. This brings to mind a recent medical check of my own recently. See, I, on the other hand, would be the opposite of Linda. When it comes to medical situations, Linda just thought that I was approaching a significant birthday, that a thorough medical check was in order. So to set the scene, I was to attend the pathology section of the local hospital alongside Linda, who also required a blood test. The instructions were nil by mouth from midnight. Well, you see, I'm rather unlike most other people. I like breakfast. And personally, I don't believe I function well without it. The other point, I was unable to drink, not alcohol, water. Even in winter, I consume no less than 3 litres of water a day. So blood test day arrives, we make the short journey to the hospital. Go in and the lovely little pathology lady Marla, she said, "Who wants to go first?" Linda kindly offers for me to go first. So thoughtful. All went well. Marla is a true professional. When the needle was removed, Marla said that it was all done. So I took this as my cue to leave immediately. So leaving Linda to battle a vampire, I do mean pathologist, on her own, I make my way to the nearest exit for the car. On my way, I came across a local Aboriginal elder named Clem, who I haven't seen for some time, and I consider him a real gentleman. I kept our exchange brief so that I could get to the car rapidly and partially die alone. When Linda returned, she was her normal bubbly self, and I at least managed to retract the car seat above the 45-degree mark, when Linda very promptly informed me that I had left without signing the pathology form and left Marla deeply concerned for my welfare. To add insult to injury, Linda also had a conversation with Clem, who was also concerned that the big fella don't look too good. So from this day on, whenever possible, Linda will ask me to pick up her blood tests, so Marla gets to have a good laugh at what she describes to Linda as, "Your husband, he nearly faint," followed by a large smirk and repetitive giggling. With the transplant proving to be successful, Professor Carol Pollock was keen for Linda to visit Dr. Michael Chen at Westmead Hospital. Professor Pollock only refers Linda to healthcare professionals who are extremely competent, capable and approachable. Dr. Chen is no exception. Linda now visits Dr. Chen every 6 months to discuss and future plan her Fabry treatment. As many of you who have Fabry or are carers of those with Fabry are well aware, there are considerable regular checks required to maintain health and endeavour to prevent as much damage as possible being done by Fabry. From our semi-remote location, it requires considerable amount of planning and negotiation to coordinate an efficient Sydney healthcare visit. For our February visit, Linda regularly completes 7 or 8 appointments over 3.5 days. This can become interesting at times if traffic or other delays impede on the next appointment. On occasions, there have been requests to come back next week. It usually involves considerable negotiating skills to ensure that the clinic requesting is aware of the travelling involved. Planning the next round of appointments usually commences 5 months in advance. Linda books appointments where possible, or sets a reminder to book for those who are unable or unwilling to book that far in advance. We contact farm sitters that we have previously engaged to establish if they can commit to our planned dates. If all of the plans remain unchanged, we consider ourselves most fortunate. As the trip gets closer, we usually book accommodation for some or all of the nights that we are in Sydney. We are always extended kind offers to stay with family and friends. However, we don't like to inconvenience others too much. There are many occasions where we will choose to arrive later to our accommodation, enabling us the chance to complete a half day of work prior to leaving. This would see us arrive at an unsociable hour for our kind hosts, whereas a motel is far less put out by our late arrival. Preparing for the journey and having everything set up for the farm sitters can leave Linda slightly exhausted prior to even leaving, especially if we stay with friends. Linda and I never arrive empty-handed. For me, it's relatively easy to contribute. Usually a brief stop at a bottle shop will see my contribution sorted. Linda, on the other hand, insists on arriving with some freshly prepared treats for our hosts to enjoy. If all appointments go favourably, we can usually leave after the last check-up on the Friday morning, and this would see us home late Friday or by midday Saturday. Once we are home, the usual tasks are completed, like laundry, washing the car, etc. We then have or take the farm sitters to dinner prior to them leaving on Saturday or Sunday. In summary, for the 3.5 days of appointments, it usually consumes a week of our time. 3 to 4 nights accommodation and 1,500 kilometres of travel by car. In August, the Sydney visit is more streamlined, requiring only 3 appointments over 2 days. Often for this trip, we leave home on the Tuesday and return home late on the Thursday. Please remember, we choose to live where we do, and for the most part, we love it. We are not complaining of the investment in both time and money required, In fact, we are actually more than grateful that there are health treatments available to assist the treatment and prevention of Fabry symptoms. Linda had been receiving enzyme replacement therapy for 3 years before we attended our first Fabry Australia event. In 2014, we made the 11-hour journey from Walgett to the cosmopolitan city of Melbourne to attend the 20-year anniversary dinner. It was there that we were both welcomed into the Fabry community with open arms. Many members and committee took the time to engage with both Linda and myself to gain a better understanding of the unique circumstances around a person with Fabry living in semi-remote New South Wales. We left the event with new friends and an understanding that there are improved options coming, and also a commitment from the committee to assist wherever they could. We have since attended 2 patient conferences and 2 Fabry retreats. On each occasion, I feel that I personally have learnt so much, not only from the Fabry healthcare professionals, but the sufferers and carers of Fabry alike. It is quite a unique as a carer and husband of someone with Fabry to observe the interaction of those suffering Fabry during and after a Fabry event. It is truly remarkable to see the sense of camaraderie engulf the room as they take the opportunity to network with others, having a complete understanding of what they endure. In this day and age, with so much more attention being paid to everyone's mental health, I read a notice on social media recently where it said, sometimes people are not okay when they say they are. I believe this can be so true in a Fabry sense. Time and again, we hear how challenging it is for those with Fabry to explain just what it is they experience on an ongoing basis. Hence, the importance and sense of belonging that the Fabry events create. Since being welcomed into the Fabry family, I draw on inspiration from not only those who endure all of what Fabry throws at them, but the carers and friends of someone with Fabry. Nothing rivals the compassion, resilience and commitment of these truly amazing people. If these people were granted one wish, they would all be united in requesting a cure for Fabry. I believe it is fair to say that many of the sufferers of Fabry are also the most passionate carers, the ones who refuse to complain about their own problems, but ensure their parents, children or spouse are as comfortable as possible. I see the majority of drive to improve the lives of those with Fabry from the ones who have seen loved ones suffer. This fine establishment called Fabry Australia is testament to that. On behalf of Linda and myself, thank you for your interest in our experiences and life with Fabry at sunny Walgett in regional New South Wales.